it was Harry Knowles, who ran Ain't It Cool News at the time, who then told me the next day, hey man, did you see that about Peter Jackson? He's making Lord of the Rings trilogy. And I remember really specifically feeling that that made so much sense. I had seen Heavenly Creatures, and I had seen The Frighteners. But it was Heavenly Creatures specifically that stood out to me as being a kind of incredible... It's not a one-to-one comp, but there's so much in Heavenly Creatures that establishes what he's capable of as a filmmaker, and marrying the notion of a fantasy realm with an emotional honesty and depth. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, Peter Jackson, that is such an incredible, inspired idea. And I'd not read Lord of the Rings, but I'd read The Hobbit, so I was certainly familiar with Middle-earth and the kind of milieu of Tolkien and what that was about. So just, marrying those two ideas in my head just made so much sense. And I remember at the time that Harry was like, you should be Frodo. I thought, that would be great, And I remember my agent calling me at the time and saying they're casting for Lord of the Rings. You should go in for Frodo. And I was like, yes, I'd love to. But you can't read the script. You have to go into the casting office to read the script. They're not giving the script out. I was like, okay. So I remember I went to Victoria Burrows' casting office, and I sat in an office by myself for 2 hours and read the script for The Fellowship of the Ring. I'll never forget that. And driving home, and I was so immersed in the world. It was so palpable and lifelike. It really kind of came to life off of the page. So I'd never made my own audition tape before, and this is long before the time when that was common. So it was long before that, and I just had this impulse, partially because I was a little nervous. Second, I just didn't want to go into a white room and do it that way. I was like, I got to do something different. So was going to a vocal coach or a dialect coach for the dialect, and then enlisted some friends, including George Wang, who's a writer, filmmaker. We went out to the woods, I think in Griffith Park, and shot 2 of the audition sequences there, and then 1 at my house. And it's sort of like there's 3 scenes. Each one was sort of a different aspect of Frodo along the journey. The last one being kind of like quite deeply affected by the ring. The ring is mine. We went into the Miramax offices that night, when Miramax was still a thing, and cut the scenes together. And then I took that tape, it's output to VHS. I took that tape to Victoria Burrows' office, and then they FedExed it to Peter. I got a call from Peter himself, which was amazing, totally mind-blowing, and, the adventure and opportunity of a lifetime. Going into it, there was absolutely an understanding of the enormity of the adventure and the fact that we were literally going to live in New Zealand for a very long time, which was thrilling.
I think we should get off the road. What was that feeling, stepping into the shoes, the hobbit feet of Frodo for the first time?
Thrilling. Really exciting. But I have to say that, there was a buzz. Of course there was a buzz of excitement of, now we're actually shooting. Here we go. But we had time very well spent prior, 2 months and change prior to actually shooting, of the team getting to know each other, rehearsals, talking about the characters, sword lessons, horseback riding lessons in some cases, rowing lessons, dialect coach. Just this program of preparation that we were all a part of, kind of like this boot camp. And by the time we started shooting, we were so entrenched with each other and the film that we were making that it was a buzzy day and super exciting and like, oh my God, we're really doing it for sure. But there was also this like, we were in already in a great way. We had spent so much time already locked arm in arm, as a fellowship heading on this journey together.